Hello everyone. Today we are going to create a text area with characters limit component. This component is widely used for all types of projects and I'm sure it's going to be very useful to you. Now imagine with me, if you have a form for creating a post and we would like to limit the summary to just 20 characters, it will probably look something like this. When you reach the 20 character, you will not be able to type any further and there will be some form of messages. So the HTML code will probably look something like this. And if you want to have another field, you will probably need to duplicate this entire chunk one more time. And then from here, you want to change to description. And maybe here description. And if you want to have another one, all you have to do is just to copy this and then duplicate again and again. So you can see how easily this code is going to grow and it's going to get tougher to maintain. So with VueJS component, basically we are going to turn the code from this to just this. Now with this code, if we want to create another one, perhaps called description, all you have to do is to duplicate this line of code, change this to description, and description. And now easily we can even change the maximum character to 50. So if I have to come back and refresh, you can see that everything is still working. This is 20 and this is 50. So if I were to type, it still works. And if I were to continue typing, this will also work all the way to 50 characters. So without much delay, let's begin. Now here we have a boilerplate project that was created from Vue CLI. If you have no idea what is Vue CLI, you can watch our introductory video by clicking on the link in the description area. So the first thing that we want to do is to install Bootstrap. So go to Google and search for Bootstrap CDN, and the first result is what we want. Clicking here, and we just want to copy the HTML version, and before the head, just put it in, and that's it. So we are going to write all our code within ID of app, as that is where we have set our Vue instance to target. Now let's dive right in and create our component. Now using a component is very easy. We just simply have to write it as a tag. So I'm going to name my component textarea counter, but you can easily just name it anything that you want. So of course this is not going to work just yet. So going to main.js, this is where all our JavaScript code is going to reside in. Now the standard of VueJS is basically to create each of the components in their own file instead of just writing it all in this file main.js. So let's do that now. Under source, let's create a new file and we are going to call it textarea counter.vue. So within the view file, usually it will contain a template, a script, and a style. Now the reason why we are going to include these three tags within this view file is that if you read the documentation, it says that usually when a component logic changes, these three parts change together. So before we go any further, let's get this component working first. So for a component, all your content must be within a root element. So I'm going to create a div and just put it in hello world. And coming to main.js, I'm going to import the entire textarea counter view into this main.js. So import textarea counter from current directory, and just going to say textarea counter.view. So now within our view instance, we just need to reference to the textarea counter that we have just imported in. So how we do that is simply components, and they're just textarea counter and textarea counter. Now this textarea counter is the name that we have given over here, and this textarea counter is the name that we have given here. So let's give that a try. Now you can see that the content is already showing up because our server is running and it auto refreshes. So very good, this is working. So we can finally get started. Let's just start by creating a text area, And let's also create a simple message, 0 out of 20 remaining. So if you come to Chrome, you can see that the layout is showing up now. So let's use Vue to control our elements over here. So firstly, what we are going to do is that we are going to export default, and all our code is going to reside within here. So how this works is that whatever that we write in here, main.js is going to import it into text area counter. So this component is going to comprise of this entire logic over here. So what I'm just going to do is to create a data, and remember to always return a function. So if you were to come to component, you can see that for a component, data must be a function. So why is that so? If it's not a function, what happens is that the data is being shared between all components. So when you click on one component, all three of them change together. So by turning it into a function, when we click on one, only this changes because this data is not being shared. So if it's not clear, you can always read the documentation again. So coming back to our example, we are just going to give a return, and we're just going to call it max length, and it's going to give you a character for now 30. So if you were to change this to max length, coming back, you see that it has already refreshed to 30. So very good, this is working. If I change to 50, it will change to 50. Step now is for Vue to retrieve the value that is being typed into the text area. So first thing that we want to do is to create a text data property. So this is going to store the value that is being typed into the text area. So for now, I'm just going to put hello world, so that if it works, we will see it inside here. And now we want to bind the text into our text area. So we can achieve this using the v model and text. So this text is going to be the same as this one, and it's going to be connected. So this is a two-way connection, two-way binding rather. So if we come to the Chrome, we refresh, you can see that hello world is already appearing. If I change to haha, and it's going to change to haha. Now this is a two-way. So if I were to just display the text over here, you can see that if let's say I were to continue typing, the text is also changing. So this way, we can change either from here or from here. So very good. So now the next step is we want to calculate the total number of characters that is being typed into the text area. So we can achieve this using a computed property. So a computed property basically just recalculates the value and save the data every time when it changes. So what I mean by that? So firstly, I just create a property, and I'm going to call it total characters. So I want to return this dot text dot length. So every time when text is changed, the length is going to be recalculated and it's going to be saved inside total characters. So this way, I can use it here, like so. So now if you see, I will refresh, currently it's 10, and if I were to continue typing, the number will constantly change. This is due to the nature of computed property. So this is very good. Already you can see that we are almost at our final product. But if I were to continue typing on, you can see that the character keep going on and on and on, which is not what we want. So what we want to do is that when we hit 30 character, which is the maximum, we want to truncate, or rather remove all the characters until it left 30 characters. So one thing we can do is to use a watch property. Watch property, basically what it does is that whenever this text changes, let's execute a certain action. So what I want to do is that every time when a character is being typed in, if it's more than 30 characters, we will remove away that character. So what we do is that we will create a watch property, and it's going to listen for the text and we are going to save the text with the current text, but only the first 30 character of the text, which is substring, and we are going to start with 0 all the way to the max length. So now if I were to refresh and come back, and if I were to continue typing, once I hit 30, you can see I can no longer type any further. So this is very good. We have almost completed our functionality. So since it's so easy to do, let's try to extend upon this functionality. So maybe what we can do is when the characters 30, when it hits the maximum length, we are just going to display a message to say maybe no more characters remaining. So let's give that a try. So we want to display this message called no more characters remaining. So the first thing I would want to do is to put it in a div so that I can hide the message whenever I need it. So what happens is, what we want to do is either this or this is going to be displayed. So I want to create one more computer property, and I'm going to call it no has characters remaining. So this computer property is going to return either a true or false value. So it's true when the total characters is less than our max length. That means you still can continue to type. So with this, let me show you what happens. Has character remaining. Save and refresh. You can see it's currently returning true. And if I were to continue typing all the way until the 20 character, it becomes false. So Vue has this directive called vshow, and we are going to use it here. So we are only going to show this if has characters is true, and we are going to show this message if has character is false, like so. So if I come back and refresh, continue typing all the way to 30, the message changes. And we have accomplished what we wanted easily with just these few lines of code. So since it's so easy, let's just create one more. Instead of showing a message, let's change the color. So maybe at the start, it's going to show blue, and then it's going to become red when it reaches the last character. So just going to create another div, and I'm going to copy this entire message in. I'm going to give it a default class of message, and I'm going to style it as blue. So color blue. So coming back to Chrome, you can see the color has already changed to blue, and if I continue to type, the color is still blue because we have not added in the logic yet. So what we want is that when it hit the maximum character, that means has no more characters remaining, we want to change the class to max message. So let's just create one more, max message, and the color will be red. So coming back to here, how VueJS is going to achieve this is to use a class binding. So this is what we call vbind class. So it's going to give it, we are going to give it a max message when there's no more characters remaining. So refresh and let's take a look. Once we hit the last character, the color has changed to red. And that's it. We have completed our component. Now the very last thing we want to do is to ensure that this component can be used by index.html in a very flexible manner. So what we want to do is that like a text area or any other form components, we want to give it a name, description perhaps, and we want to give it a class. So classes is equals to form control. Now the reason why I'm calling it classes is because we can't use a props which is the property here, within our component. So since I will need to use a class later on, we have to use another name for now. But this is okay, and you will understand more when I add it into the component later. So one more most important thing that I want to have is the max character. And for now, I'm just going to change it to 50. So we'll know that it's working. So in our component, all we have to do now is to tell Vue what are the props that we have changed. So the first one is max, second one name, third classes. And in Vue, we are not recommended to use the props directly. As such, we will have to create a new one in our data property. So class is binded to this dot classes, and our name, which we have to call it text area name, since we have already called it name here, we'll call it this dot name. Scrolling up all the way to the top, now within our text area, we'll use a vbind property once again, and name is equals to text area name, and our class, once again vbind, is equals to classes, which is what we give it, and we don't need a name over here, we don't need the ID over here. You can easily just add in ID yourself by extending upon the props here. And the row, the columns, we don't really need it. Save, coming back to Chrome, refresh. And you can see that now the text area has stretches all the way. The reason is because if you were to view here, the text area currently has a class of form control, which is going to give you a full display block with a width of 100%. And this form control comes from here. Also, if you notice, the name is equal to the description, which is what we have provided here, just like what we have typed here. So everything is working, but you can see that our character here is still 30. So the reason is because our max length, we have hard-coded 30, we have not changed to max. And we should be able to see everything working now. Yep, and you can see that the character has already changed to 50, and total characters is 26. So if I were to change here to maybe 40, refresh, you can see that the character is 40. So the last thing that we have to do is to remove this haha world, and our component is officially completed. So let's give it a try, type all the way to 40 characters, and it behaves exactly the way that we want it to be. So this concludes the end of our component for text area counter. You can see that in index.html, we can easily extend this, change the name to something else, and change the character to 30, refresh, and easily we have duplicated this component 040, and this 40 has no relation to here. So these two components is currently ready to be used. I hope you like this tutorial, and we will be creating more. Thank you for watching.